Okay, so if you're done with all your shades, and first thing you're going to do here is you're going to gather the materials you need. Now, the glue is going to be shared with you and the rest of your table, okay? But you're going to need these little pieces of cardboard, okay? You're going to need at least 12. That's the most you will use, okay? You're going to need a scissors. You might need a ruler and a Sharpie. All these materials are in the front of the room, so if you want to pause and get what you need, go right ahead. Now, first thing you do when you get back to your seat, if you would like to touch up your black lines that were made for you, okay, because you covered them up, line up your ruler with them, use a Sharpie, and go nice and slow with the Sharpie. Because it's on top of the paint, the Sharpie will try and die if you go too fast. So there's one. And two. Just cleans it up a bit. All right. So then you put your Sharpie back up front along with the ruler, get them out of your way so you don't need to mess with them anymore. Then you can take this off. Get rid of your tape. Okay. And if your cardstock, your mat board, cardboard, whatever you want to call it, is warped, like this one is, okay, you can kind of gently flatten it. And you can check that it's flat just by plopping it down and seeing if it bounces around at all. Looks like it's good, it's not moving. So that's done. You can take off your tape from your 4 pieces. And do the same with the bendy thing. If they've kind of warped a little bit, you can bend them so that they're flat. And I'm just removing. And got my little pile of tape over here so it doesn't get stuck to the work I'm trying to do. All right, so you can see that this one's out of whack a little bit. Just bend them around until they're relatively flat. It's not a big deal. All right, so they're pretty flat. I'm happy with that. I'm going to move them aside. Now the project itself, okay, this one has tints on it, so don't worry about that. It's still the same idea. Okay, right now you can see that if I turn this, got those little pieces of cardboard under there. So right now what we got to do is we have to cut our squares into relatively interesting shapes. I have some samples right here. Some kids kept it pretty simple. Hey, but you can still see kind of the size of the square there, even though they cut away a lot of it. It is important that you leave the middle a big open space. Okay? So that the cardboard doesn't show through when you look down at this. Okay? There's another one where a kid did some pretty detailed stuff and then did some simple stuff. Okay? Still looks nice. Again, detailed. This one's very, very detailed. They did a lot of cuts, but they still left the middle of the pieces relatively big so that they could put the cardboard under them and it wouldn't show through to the front. All right. So what you're going to do now is take your scissors and modify these squares any way you want. So they can be organic shapes, meaning like lots of curves, kind of blobby looking. And you can really make this detailed, or you can keep it relatively simple. Don't make it boring though. You only make like one little cut. That's going to look pretty lame. So it's a pretty simple concept. All right. So you can do organic, or you could do geometric shapes where you're cutting all straight lines. And this was very, very carefully done. If you're going detailed, you got to be very careful, okay, not to cut the whole thing apart. So you are going to create shapes out of your 4 squares any way you want. Okay. And so you can pause up the vid and do whatever you want using my examples that I showed you, okay, to create interesting shapes out of these 4 squares. Okay, so I've cut out 4 interesting shapes from my squares. Our next step is to take these shapes and flip them over. Okay, and we're going to use the little cardboard bits now. The key to this is not to use too much glue so that you can get the glue to set very quickly. Okay, so usually just a little tiny dot will take care of business. And you're going to put that cardboard in the biggest area of your shape. And you're going to move it around just a little bit. You can see I'm moving it like this until you feel that glue start to set. And then it won't move much anymore. Now, you can do 1 piece, 2 pieces, or even 3 pieces if you really want it to sit up higher. Okay, or you can do a mixture. That's up to you. But again, so like this one, I think I'm going to do 2. Then I move on to the next one. The more glue you put on these pieces, the more it's going to shift and move around and annoy the heck out of you. So don't overdo the glue. All right, so I have 2 pieces on this one. Put 1 on that one. It's up to you how many you do. You can do 3 on every one of them if you want. Once we get more than that, it starts to look a little silly. So we're going to stick with 1, 2, or 3. So for this next one, I'm going to do 3. Now, if you come across a piece of cardboard that's all bent and jacked up and torn, don't use it. Find a good one. So I've got 3 on that one. I'm just going to wiggle these around until they kind of set up. And move on. And I think I'm going to do 2 for this one. Why not? Okay, now again, you can do 1 for all of them, 2 for all of them, 3 for all of them, or you can mix it all up. That's up to you. Okay, so now that I've got these 4 shapes with cardboard on the back of them, all right, my next step is to put them forward again, like this, and I want to make sure I know which shade is which. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up light to dark, like that. Okay. My darkest one here will go on my lightest one here. So get some glue on the back of my cardboard. I'm going to spread that glue out evenly. I don't want too much on there. And I'm just going to try and center it real nice in there. And voila. Okay. So now my next one is my darkish gray. That's going to go in the next lightest one on here. So in other words, we're making them opposites. You can turn these any way you want. Just make sure you try and keep them centered in the space and that they're sitting nicely. If they start moving around, that means you use too much glue. Okay. My next one will go here. And you can see that they're 2 different things. So you never want the same shade in the background as your shape is. Like that. And then my lightest one of the little cards will go onto my darkest one on the background. And you are finished. We will not be turning these in the finished work bin. So please just bring it up to me and I will find a place for it.